is Adam Winrich, and this is a little bit video about a Guinness record I did a few years ago for the loudest whip crack. I'm holding right here my Guinness certificate. There it is. I'll set that down. And I guess my most recent YouTube videos, what I've decided to do is I post short versions on TikTok, and then I come over and film a video for YouTube where I babble about the record a little bit more. So the record that I got was 148.7 decibels, and that's about approximately to a 22 gunshot. And then right before me, the first record holder of this record was April Jennifer Choi with something, I think it was 121 decibels, something like that. First, I can tell you about the whip that I used. So this is a 13-foot bull whip. You can see it looks pretty neat. So originally it was just a cowhide bull whip that was made by Florida Cracker Bull Whips. He makes them out of Herman Oak Latigo. And originally it was just an 8-foot whip, and it ended with a pretty thick point. And so I sent it to Blake Bruning of Trinity Whip Company, who's a really good whip maker. And I asked Blake if he could splice in some kangaroo leather to the end of it and then extend it out to about 13 feet. And so Blake did a great job, and that kind of helps this whip echo the sort of old swivel handle cowhide bull whips that used to be commonly made in factories in the United States. So as you can see, it's really thick whip, it's pretty heavy, and it does roll out really well. Really happy with the job that Blake did extending it. So I guess a couple things about the record. First, you might wonder, how do you measure the loudest whip crack? So there's a couple things. First, you have to rent a decibel meter or buy one, but they're very expensive. And then the interesting thing with the record is that with sound and the loudness of sound, it is very dependent on how far away you are from the decibel meter, because the sound waves really sort of spread out kind of in a spherical fashion. And so they get quieter pretty fast, or if you're too close, it's measured that it's too loud. So with the Guinness record, they specified the height that the decibel meter had to be. They also specified that basically you had to make a line about 8 feet away from the decibel meter, and then you laid the tip of the whip at that line, and then laid it out on the ground, and then marked a line on the ground there. So that's basically your 8 feet plus the full length of the whip away from the decibel meter. And then I had to stand behind that, and no part of my body could cross the decibel meter while I was cracking the whip. Or sorry, no part of my body could cross that line while I was cracking the whip. And because the way sound is that the closer I am to the decibel meter, the louder of a reading it will get. So I just used the crack that I can get furthest from my body, closest to the meter, which was just a flick. And an interesting thing about that is most people wouldn't think, oh, that's going to be the loudest crack. Most people would think, oh, that an overhead crack, boom, like that is the loudest. But interestingly enough, the whip cracker perceives that as being the loudest because that's the whip crack that's closest to your head. So flicks are always going away and the furthest away, but the overhead crack is closer to your head, so that makes you think it's louder, but actually both of them are pretty similar in loudness. So I thought it was something interesting to learn. Also, I would mention that decibels are measured in I think about 4 different ways, and you just have to think of a decibel meter as a piece of circuitry with a microphone attached that has a little digital readout. So you just think of it that way, and that there are the different ways they measure it. You can take either timed averages of sound, say like in a work environment when you want to know how much sound is getting to a person's ears over a period of time, or you just take the very highest reading, like the peak reading. So the peak reading will always be higher than the other readings. So what Guinness has you measure with the whip crack is just the peak reading. So when I say 148.7 decibels, that sounds super loud, like I should be clinically deaf by now. However, that's the peak reading, and then most, I would say, decibel comparison charts that you read were like, I don't know, a loud rock concert or a jet engine or something is like 120 decibels. Well, that is measured differently over a timed average than what the whip crack was measured. So some interesting stuff about the record for loudest whip crack. I'll crack it one more time. My name is Adam Winrich. Thanks for watching.